Hi, my name is Chloe.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome to
The Mistresses of Murder. In case you haven't figured it out, that means we are a murder podcast.
We're here to tell you all about murder and our favorite things about it and everything in between.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're not professionals by any means necessary. We try to do the best of research that we possibly can. May fall short sometimes, but please give us the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. And also, if there's any audio problems or anything, give us the benefit of the doubt on that too, because this is our first time doing any shit like this, and we literally spent about an hour and a half earlier today trying to work out the audio stuff, so
it was such a struggle, honestly.
It was very frustrating.
If we have any friends out there who actually know how to do audio, maybe you could send in some tips.
Yeah, it was all really confusing.
Yes,
but we think we got at least something that sounds somewhat good. Hopefully, I mean, I guess we'll figure out. Like we said earlier, if this doesn't work out and it sounds terrible, this will be known as our lost episode.
Yes, this is episode number 1 / lost episode.
Yeah, it's either episode number 1 or episode 0, the lost episode. So there's that. But
yeah.
Should we maybe tell a little bit about ourselves before we get into the murder?
Yeah, that sounds good. Oh, also we have our special guest here today, who will always be our special guest, and she is actually our mascot. We have Mavis Louise Ellington. She is my Tweenie. And so if you hear barking or anything, or just moving,
she only barks at Ramsey so far today.
To be fair, she only barks at men today. She's
a good girl today. Right now, she's sitting on Chloe and just lapping the air, like the queen she is.
Look, there's the word lapping. Here we are.
Oh, it must be stuck in my head because of you.
And that's a sign.
So many signs today, for real though.
So many signs today, between a bloody syringe, toads. What else? There was a
Mama throwed up.
Mama throwed up. I mean, there was so many things today.
It's been an eventful. I feel like we should kind of go over our day a little bit, because it's been a fucking day. Like a good day, but it's been a day.
Yeah, no, it's been a great day. I mean, considering the fact that I woke up at 11:30 and was like, "Hey Sam, are we doing this today?"
Yeah.
Because I was.
I'll be honest, I didn't even expect us to record the podcast today. I thought we were just gonna do some planning stuff, but here we are. It is. Let me check the time.
Yeah, no.
3:22 in the morning.
Yeah,
and we are recording a murder podcast.
No, this is the freaking witching hour, so why would we not record it? We're gonna have to do this every time. I'm just kidding.
I don't know. Yeah,
I'm not prepared for that.
Pretty tired, but I'm also the anxiety of talking to nothing right now and then posting it later is enough to keep me awake.
Yeah, no, the thrill of the kill.
The thrill. That should have been the name of our podcast.
The thrill of the kill.
No. We chose the Mistresses of Murder, though.
Yes.
After some debating.
We did. We had a list, and that was the first order of business, was that I wrote down a list, and we kind of went through the ones that weren't really gonna make the cut, and then we did ones that we really truly enjoyed. And so then we came out to Mistresses of Murder.
Yeah.
After a little bit of tweaking and everything, so.
I think we were going to do, Murder Mistresses at first?
Yeah, Murder Mistresses.
But Mistresses of Murder just seems cooler.
Yeah.
We are mistresses.
We are mistresses.
And
I mean...
we're going to be talking about murder.
No,
so
we're not. Perfect. We're not cheating on our boyfriends or husbands. No, so, sorry we're not available right now, but we will keep you updated in case anything happens.
You never know.
Yeah,
I mean, murder happens every day.
And Sam's trying to marry for money, apparently.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yes. This is just what happened today. So back to our day.
Yes.
So step 1 was, of course, getting the name. Step 2 was a catchphrase, which you'll find out later. Yeah. Stay tuned. Actually, there was 2. I forgot that one randomly appeared in the air, and we scooped it out. Then of course we had to go eat because we had fuel for the body.
Of course. We figured out the name, we figured out the catchphrase, and then we were like, you know what? We need food.
Yeah.
So we went to our usual spot.
Shout out to McAllister's. But anyways, back to McAllister's. Yes, hi. We need to have a talk about your sanitation department because there was a bloody syringe. Well, okay, Sam keeps saying syringe, so I'm stuck on syringe now.
Yeah, it's not a syringe. It's like an IV.
It was like an IV. Yes, we have photo proof.
We do.
Yes, I had to take a picture of it because I was like, this is not
Well, it's because like we got out of the car and I was like, Chloe, like, let me alert you to what is on the ground right now. A bloody, what I called a syringe, but it was like an IV, the needle you stick in your arm that's hooked into the fluids. And we went inside, we ate, and we came back out, and it was still out there, so...
Yes, and then I had to take a picture for proof, because who the hell else would believe that there was a freaking bloody IV on the ground?
Man, I just want to know the story behind the person who left it there. I really do.
I definitely feel like we should give some background on where we live, because... honestly, it's not that big of a shock that was on the ground.
It's also close to the hospital, so that's my theory. It's like they've got to be related somehow.
Like what? Like a block away is what we would say. We really don't do blocks here, if I'm going to be honest. We don't even have really sidewalks here. So, we finally just got a bike lane in places.
Where?
In Josh's neighborhood. There's actually a couple bike lanes.
No, where we live, it's pretty much you're gonna walk on the road. You're gonna risk it if you want to travel.
Yeah,
you gotta risk it.
Most people walking on the road here are on meth, or just
especially by my house.
Yeah. I said something earlier, and then Sam was like, what, you're gonna talk about my neighborhood like that? Yes, I am gonna talk about your neighborhood like that because it's the sketchiest place you could be.
Within the sketchiest place of this town, it's a better street than some of the other ones, at least.
Literally, all the crime possible happens on this street.
No, it does not. That's
literally, okay, where she lives, like, in, like, I don't even know what you would call it, like, within the city of the city. Every street... or every city in this street is a freaking color, okay? There's pink.
What is that supposed to
There's
be?
lilac. There's evergreen, okay? I'm just saying, listen, I'm just saying, if you have a fucking Crayola box of street names...
I don't think that means anything.
I think it
just
does.
Associated it with this area.
And that's how you know. People will be like, oh, you live on Pink Street? You probably do meth. Well, Sam doesn't live on Pink Street, by the way, and we don't condone drugs on this podcast.
No, we don't.
Oh, well, maybe, but we'll talk about that in another podcast. Sorry. We don't condone hard drugs on this podcast. We only condone legal drugs that aren't legal here yet on this podcast.
Fair enough.
I don't even remember where we were going with that.
Talking about, because we found the bloody IV.
Bloody IV. Yeah, and that was actually in an okay part of this town.
Yeah, it wasn't like the central part of town, essentially.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's by the hospital, so I do think there's some correlation there. I would hope that somebody just doesn't have IVs. I don't know. Anyway, we found an IV. Ate some lunch, came back out. IV was still there.
Oh, yes. We then had to get coffee because I was like, we're doing a podcast. We have to have coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was
then...
12 hours ago.
Yeah, we finished that coffee.
Yeah. My husband poured my whipped cream out in the sink because he thought it was his.
Oh, yes.
Don't know why he did that.
Yeah. That was probably the best, worst part of Sam's day.
Literally. We picked him up some lunch from McAllister's, and it was on the counter, and I was in my office.
As kind wives do.
Yeah. And so the coffee was on the counter, the lunch was on the counter. And from the other room, I heard him say, hey, is this mine? I just assumed he was talking about the lunch, because his coffee was actually in the freezer. Because I was like, trying to be the good wife that I am, because he wasn't home yet. So I was like, I don't want his coffee to melt, because it was iced coffee. I don't want the ice to melt, get it all watered down and whatnot. And I was like, oh yeah, that's yours, thinking he's talking about the food. And then I come back into the kitchen and he's scraping the whipped cream off in the sink.
That's because he's a freaking Wendigo. We decided this earlier. Yes, he's Ramsey's to be determined last name is to be. We'll talk about that later. Last name is a Wendigo, and we have factual proof about it.
Sort of a hunch.
I don't know, because we totally said Ramses is a Wendigo, and if he comes out here in 2 seconds, then it's truth. And he walked out, and we were like, holy shit, He's a Wendigo.
Possible Wendigo. To be determined.
I don't really feel like it's need to be determined because there was definitely Wendigo vibes coming off of him. Maybe we'll talk about Wendigos on this podcast.
Do you think there's any Wendigo related murders or like
100%. No. Yes,
like
Native
theories?
Americans. It's a big thing in their culture, and like actually, I know a person who is full blooded. And he has told, not me, but my boyfriend, that you don't actually talk about Wendigos in their culture because it's such a scary subject to them.
That's kind of what I was mentioning earlier. I've heard like just even talking about Wendigos is supposed to like draw them near to you.
Yeah.
Which we've mentioned them a lot tonight. So if this never posts, just assume we were murdered by Wendigos if you find this audio.
It's either we were murdered by Wendigos or this was just such a shitty podcast.
It's possible. We'll have to play it back tomorrow. After we pass the fuck out.
After the coffee finally leaves our system.
Dude, it's been gone.
I know.
The wine's gone too.
Yes, hi. So Sam drank a whole bottle of wine.
And there's still some left in the fridge.
Oh, what? There's a whole sip?
Maybe like 5 sips. But, I don't know. That wine's not super strong.
I had
Despite
none.
cutting off a chunk of my hair, I was not drunk at all.
I guess we all know who the alcoholic is in the friends.
Dude, when do I ever?
Never. Actually, Sam never drinks. So if we're going to...
I abstain from alcohol except on special occasions. And tonight was a special occasion. We had a girls' night, and it was super fun. We watched Twilight.
And one girl. 2 girls, 1 girl.
It was 3 girls in total.
3 girls in total. Yeah. If you need a little help with the math, 2 plus 1 equals 3. Yes, we watched Twilight, and I kept asking Sam questions, and then we, of course, had many debates about it. I was overanalyzing the whole situation. Things are not looking up for Bella. Or for me, I guess, because I was... Sam's ass read all of the books, so she thinks she's like more entitled to knowledge. And I'm like, Sam, listen, no, listen. I watched all of them like 10 times when I was a teenager. I know more than you, okay? Then Sam's like, well, I read this book and this book and this book. I'm like, shut up, no.
To be fair, it's just that I have been like just really big into the Twilight renaissance that's going on, and I like watch a lot of TikToks about people explaining Twilight stuff, and like I watched all the movies last week, so I just it's been on my mind.
Wait, you just freaking watched all the movies last week and then you turned it on tonight?
Yes. Your point?
Why are you so obsessed with me?
It's like
please don't
5 stars
charge me for copyright infringement.
Literally. Nobody's gonna watch the first episode but like our family, so I think we'll be fine.
Oh yeah, to be fair, unless we make it big, then this is just gonna become a lost episode.
You're right. I swear to God.
Swear to God.
I just feel like I don't even know.
Yeah.
This episode might be a total complete mess, seeing how we've been rambling on for however many minutes.
It's only been 13.
That's not too bad. I thought it was been like, 6 hours by now. I don't know. So we never even finished talking about our day, really. So we had the bloody syringe. Then we went to go watch your sister get her first tattoo.
Oh, yes. Happy late birthday to my sister, Riley. Her sweet 16. And yes, she got her first tattoo today. Of course, it was a cat because
and it looks really awesome, by the way.
Yes, we are pretty much a rescue family. We have rescued, I can't tell you how many freaking animals at this point. I mean, I live on my own now, but still, when I lived at my parents' house, we rescued an abundance of animals that have passed through our house. But yes, so she got a tattoo of her cat Tallulah. Shout out to Tallulah because I totally chose her name. Yes, then what did we do after that?
After that, we went...
Oh yeah, shout out to Cherish too, because she's awesome and we love her. And
she is pretty cool too.
Yes. Oh,
just
shout out
today, but she was cool.
Yeah, no, shout out to also Sam's mom, because I think I might be in love with her. And also, if you're listening to this, I might be in love with you. You sound very interesting and a woman that I really want to get to know better, if you know what I mean.
We called her today because we were trying to figure out, asking advice on, like, names for podcasts and everything. And I had not told her anything about us, like, even thinking about doing a podcast. And she's like, are you guys doing a podcast? She was super hyped. She was like, we're going to buy you ring lights. I'll do research for you. I'll be on the podcast. Like, Mama Julie was going off, so shout out to my mom. She's pretty awesome.
So yeah, shout out to Sam's mom for just being awesome, because that's what we love the most.
She is pretty cool. Also, your dad said he wanted to be on the podcast too.
Yes,
He's
Christopher.
very excited about it.
Yeah, Christopher said that he also wants to be on the podcast. I don't know. We'll see, because we already have one guest who will be appearing in every podcast. Our mascot. Yes,
she's the fuck out.
Nothing unusual. She's a tweenie. She's a fat tweenie at that. If we do
potato shaped.
Yes, if we do make it big, we will have shirts with her face on them.
Absolutely. Sweet girl.
Sweet little chongus. She's also manager too. Producer. I'm not sure what else she will do at this point, but she'll probably do more.
You're staring at the computer and it's concerning me.
Oh, that's because I'm just not sure what's going on.
Is it recording?
Yes, it's recording.
Okay. Sorry,
it's
like I said, all very new to us, and it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, you're in for a long ride or a good ride. I'm not sure how you are going to feel about it. I'm not sure how we're going to feel about it. That's why, again, could
Pretty
be
much.
the...
Figure we're gonna record it tonight, and then we will listen to it tomorrow. And if it sounds terrible, or if we're missing audio or something, like we said, this will be the last episode. We'll get my husband. He knows more about computers than us, and see if he can help us figure out stuff. And
how weird is it to be so young, but to say husband?
I'm 25. That's not that young.
I just feel like it is. I don't know.
I mean,
maybe because I'm 23 and not married.
It's like one of those ages where it's like sometimes it feels old, sometimes it doesn't. It just feels very like...
But depending on
limbo-ish.
Where you're listening from, in other states, people are like, no, 25 is like, you're still a kid. You're supposed to be living at home with your parents.
I think it is very much like, it just depends on where you're from, because I honestly feel like since we live in the South, it's like people try to get married more early than later,
Yeah, because
that family.
I don't know why. I guess we're scared that we're just gonna die earlier.
Yeah, it's just
like we haven't advanced in
pop out them babies,
in medicine, or we haven't advanced in. Honestly, I say that though, but I feel like the South probably has a lot more deaths than the North does, and I'll say this reason right here, because we fucking eat here. We eat fatty foods,
that is
and
true.
That is no lie. Like, we are all about freaking, from crawfish to beignets to, and I say that, but I literally haven't had a beignet and I can't tell you how long. But the point is, we eat a lot of fatty foods down here. Even freaking gumbo, all the shit that goes into gumbo. We have...
It's good food, at least.
Yeah, no. It's super good. People actually would probably come down here and be like, why is this food so seasoned? Which I have heard before.
How can you say that?
I guess because, the North has bland taste. No offense to any Northerners that are going to listen to this, but, coming from the fact that I used to live in Colorado, y'all guys have pretty bland taste, and learn what the fuck sweet tea is. When I ask for sweet tea, I want sweet tea with ice in it.
When I was in Maine one summer, we were me and my dad were at an ice cream shop, and I saw sweet tea on the menu. I was like, oh, fucking sick. Some sweet tea, I could go for that right now. Because I would spend a month up there at a time, so being deprived of that, I was like, I would love a sweet tea. This bitch gave me a brisk. The brisk tea.
Yes.
I was like, excuse me?
I'm sorry.
This is your sweet tea? I was so offended.
What is... Well, ma'am? Can you try again?
It was at least top 10 disappointing moments of my life just then.
Could you at least, poured it in a glass for me?
Just a bottle of brisk tea, and I was like...
Send help?
I did drink it. It's not like brisk is bad, but it's
But like when you come from where we are, like when you get a sweet tea, you have like tea bags, you boil them, you know, like it, like even
all that sugar.
I mean, even from a young age, like I knew how to make sweet tea, and like you know, like. You can tell, like, at this point in my life, I can tell if sweet tea's been sitting out for, like, more than 20 minutes. Like, I'm like, no, this tea is bad tea.
You can
like,
tell when it starts to taste, like, stale.
Yes, and, like, the sugar, like, settles at the bottom. And we are showing our true Southern colors right here,
We're going
right
on a
now.
rant about sweet tea.
Sweet tea. And, yeah, just in case y'all want to know, like, we will also, at the end of this, we'll post our sweet tea.
Our sweet tea recipe.
Sweet tea recipe.
You know, 1 part tea, 6 parts sugar.
Yeah. And like, but best time to drink it, for me personally, is whenever you first get it mixed up. Like, okay, so you boil your tea, you add your sugar, you add your hot water, and then you pour it over some ice, and that is the best time to drink it to me. I don't know why. It's something like I used to do when I was a kid, and I don't know, it's something weird. I mean, we lived with my great-grandmother, and I mean, she used to freaking, it's like depression meals. Like, she was born in like 1920. And so, like, one of her big things that she would eat as, like, a dessert was freaking buttermilk, bread.
She would eat buttermilk? Like this mixed together?
Yes, okay. Buttermilk, egg, I'm sorry, not eggs, bread and crackers. And she would, like, mash it, like, in a cup and eat it. And
I'm so happy I did not live in the Great Depression.
Oh, yeah, no, but it was like, it was a weird thing, and like, I asked her about it one day. I said, why do you do this? And she said it was just like a thing that we ate when I was a kid. Which is...
I'm sure we have that own stuff for us, too, though. Like you said, it's like the sweet tea thing.
Yeah, okay, but...
I'm not saying it's to that extreme.
What do we have, like zebra stripe gum?
I don't know. Zebra stripe gum is pretty good. No, but like...
Put the tattoos on your tongue.
I know.
We should get one of those tattooed.
Like the cinnamon toast or something like that, you know, like those struggle kind of meals.
Okay, so struggle meal for when we were piss poor in Colorado. We used to get, my mom actually, it was like a late night snack. First of all, Carol, fuck you and your late night snacks, dude. There's a reason that I like to eat, and it's because we used to have every night, like, it was like a late night snack. Like, we came up with, like, new shit all the time. But, like, one of our favorites was a cracker. And then, of course, you had, like, the sliced cheese that was all packaged. That was, like, what was the Great Value brand back in the day.
Of course.
And then you would cut it into fours. And then you would take, like, one of the squares, put it on top of the cracker, and then put a pickle on it.
This actually sounds pretty good.
It really was. But, like, as I got older, I was like, wait a second. This is
Mom, are we poor?
Sad. Like, Mom, are we poor? This is really sad. And then, like, some of, like, the other shit, like, we did, like, and that's why I like to eat to this day. I was deprived of it when I was a child. In all honesty, that's not the case. I was fed. I'm sorry. I was fed.
Lost your train of thought.
Talking about killer kids.
Yes.
Actually, this is our theme.
Maybe just explain how we want to do the podcast every week before we get into it.
Yeah, we should.
We can edit that part out.
Yeah.
So let's start right here.
Okay.
Before we talk about murder, let's explain how we're going to do this every week.
Yes.
Right?
Every week. We're doing it every week. So congratulations, guys. Tune in every week. What day it's going to be posted? No freaking ideas. Whatever day we choose. So
once we get more into habit and figure everything out better, maybe we'll have a set day.
Yeah. Instead of like every Wednesday night we go to church, we talk about murder.
Yeah.
Neither of us are in church regularly. Sorry. And we're in the South. Wow, what a combination. We don't go to church when we're in the South. But yes, every week we are going to have a theme. We have a couple of ideas down. This week we are talking about killer kids.
Yeah.
So, kids who murder
kill people,
murder other people. Well, I don't know. I guess it depends. Murder children. Yeah, murder their own children. I mean, I don't think.
No,
well,
they're kids. They're not.
Well, it depends. It depends on like what age you consider a kid. It's like 17 and under for me.
Yeah, same with mine.
Yeah, because mine's
my idea at least
17 and under. It's like I did the same thing earlier.
Yeah. So this week's theme: killer kids. I guess we'll just announce the theme at the beginning before we talk about the murders in every episode. So.
Yeah. Or we could just start out and be like, hey, this is Killer Kids, and welcome to our podcast. Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about our day first.
Also, I think we'll put it, like, as the title, too.
Yeah. Oh, podcast. Yeah, no, most definitely. We're going to...
Mistresses of Murder. Killer Kids.
Yeah. I have, like, her Killer Kids.
I like it. I like the dots. Anyway, so now... Yes. Let's talk about murder.
All right, I'm ready.
You ready? Okay. I'm going first this week, because we decided to do it by chronological order, and my murder... happened, I think, in the 60s. So, my murderer, his name is Graham Frederick Young, and he is known as the teacup poisoner. And like I said, when I was typing this out, I kept, like, thinking it was teacup killer, because I just think it sounded better. I guess it's because of that alliteration of, like, cup and killer.
Yeah.
But no, he's the teacup poisoner. My bad, Mr. Graham Frederick Young. But yes, so he is known as the teacup poisoner. And he was born in Nesden, North London on September 7th, 1947. So it's kind of like an older one. So while his mother was pregnant, she developed a condition called, if I mispronounce this, I'm so sorry, it's pleasury, which is pretty much a condition in which the layers of tissue on your lungs separate, and it makes it like really hard to breathe and everything, and this led to her getting tuberculosis. So she died 3 months after Graham was born.
Wow.
Yes. So, and Graham's father, Fred Young, was so distraught about this. He was like, I literally cannot parent right now. So you, sweet baby, are now, you 3-month-old child, you're going to go live with your aunt and uncle. And Graham Young also had an older sister named Winifred. And I don't know why they didn't send them together, but they sent the sister to go live with the grandparents. They sent Graham to go live with his aunt and uncle.
I mean, this was the 50s, so maybe they couldn't, maybe the grandparents and the aunt and uncle couldn't support, like, both kids. Like, maybe they had to separate them?
That could be it, or maybe it could be, like, the grandparents, since it was, like, a baby. I don't know how old the grandparents were, but, like, maybe just taking care of a baby would be too hard or something.
I didn't think about that.
I don't know. The article I read, which, by the way, I got all my information from Murderpedia, just to get throwing that citation. But please don't sue. You know, we do not plagiarize. We give credit where credit's due. But yeah, so I don't know why they split the kids up and why they chose Graham was going with the aunt and uncle, why Winifred, the older sister, was going with the grandparents. But that's what they did. Okay? So Mr. Graham, he spent the first 2 years of his life with his aunt and her husband, so his uncle. However, in 1950, the father remarried, and he ended up reuniting the family. So he brought Graham back and then the older sister Winifred back, where they could meet his new wife, Molly. Okay? So, and Graham did not take this pretty well. I mean,
I don't think so.
He grew very attached to his aunt and uncle and very much looked to them because, I mean, from a baby, he was raised by them to like 2 years old. So he was very attached to them, and he did not take getting separated them from very well. And he ended up becoming what they described as a rather peculiar child. He very much...
I love when people use the word peculiar.
I know. It feels very, like, old, too. Yes. Like, old-fashioned. Like, I think more Victorian. This was in, like, actually, the 50s, but...
I literally wrote peculiar down in my notes, too. That's nice.
But yeah, so he's described as a peculiar child. He spent lots of time alone, very much just kind of playing on his own. He didn't have any interest in playing with kids his own age. So there's definitely... I don't know if this is just, like, a direct effect from being separated from the people who raised him, just being thrown into the father he had no idea who the fuck he was kind of deal, and a new mom, just kind of, I don't know. I'm not sure if that's what messed with him, but that's how he was when he was a kid. So when he was old enough to read, he loved to read nonfiction accounts of murder.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's like us. He loves murder.
He guest starring him next.
Yeah, so he loved reading about murder. Specifically, he really liked a guy named Dr. Crippen, who was he was a real infamous poisoner. So that was his favorite guy. You can see where he get poisoner. You can see the inspiration. Yeah. So, which I was gonna put in like a little like side note about like Dr. Crippen, but I was like, you know what, that might be a guy we do for a future murder.
Yeah.
So, I didn't want to go into too much detail about him. So, so when Graham got into his teens, he developed a fascination with a certain someone who goes by the name of Adolf Hitler.
Oh.
Yeah, when I read that in the article, I was like, "Ooh, we're taking this turn." Okay.
Okay.
So he was a Hitler stan. He ended up wearing lots of swastikas, and he would very much, if somebody was going to listen to him talk about Hitler, he was going to talk about Hitler and just talk about Hitler was misunderstood, and he was a pretty cool dude to him, so he would, if you were willing to listen, he was willing to talk to you about it.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that Hitler was misunderstood.
I have to agree with you there.
I think his many of statements of burn all the Jews was very direct. I don't think there was a question mark behind it. I definitely feel like that was a command, not a question.
Yeah, I mean, this was still pretty... He was born in 1947, so this was probably like in the late 50s, so it's been a couple decades since all that happened, so I don't know. Problematic, but this guy's the teacup poisoner, so
yeah, I guess
being problematic is his thing. He also, another fun tidbit, he read widely on the occult. He loved that kind of stuff. He claimed having knowledge of Wiccans and local covens, and he would convince his friends and other children he knew to engage in some occult ceremonies together, which involve sacrificing some cats. At least one known cat. I know, I'm sorry. At least one known cat. Apparently there was some cats that went missing in the area that possibly could be related to this too, that led to the idea that maybe there was more than one ceremony they did, but there was at least definitely one ceremony where they sacrificed a kitty.
Well, I'm pretty sure, like one of the things, like non-sociopath or psychopath or whichever,
is killing animals, small animals. Yeah, you always hear that.
That's your beginning, and
yeah.
I guess murdering is your end.
Yup. So, dude's trying to sacrifice them for something. Anyway, so let's get into some of his academic interests. Yeah. So we know he likes Hitler. Mm-hmm. He likes the occult. Academically, he really took an interest in chemistry, forensic science, and toxicology. Now we see where the poisoning stuff is coming into play.
Yes.
Right. So, but unfortunately for him, the school didn't really have a lot of classes for that kind of stuff, or the resources for that, so he really took to more like reading about that kind of stuff in his own time. But his father was super happy about this. He was like, "What a great thing for you to be into, my son. I'm so proud of you. You're so smart. Let me buy you your first chemistry set."
Oh God, this is where it all...
He's just trying to be a proud papa, and Graham, he took it into another direction. Instead of trying to create cure cancer, or create some new cool chemicals, he went a different route.
In the 50s, cancer was that big of a deal as it is now.
Well, I don't know if this is true, but I think it was one of those things where it was like they didn't know
what was causing it.
I don't even know if they had a name for it back then. I really don't. I might sound like an idiot, but I got no idea. I don't know when they even found out like cigarettes were causing like lung cancer. Yeah. I don't know when that happened. I would have to look that up. I'm sorry if I'm stupid.
Everything that you do causes cancer, so
there's a lot of stuff that can cause. Anyway.
Sorry.
So by the age of 13, Graham's knowledge of toxicology enabled him to convince local chemists in the town. He was like, "Hey dudes, I know so much about chemistry and toxicology. You gotta believe me, I'm 17, so sell me this, like, lethal shit. Because I'm 17. I'm old, because I guess that was maybe, like, the legal age of, like, being able to buy such stuff.
But my question is I don't care, like, who... First of all, this kid is 17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So what... And what physician would be like, oh yeah, let me just sell you this lethal shit, like, no questions asked?
I guess he was probably just, like, really smart, maybe charismatic or something, but he was 13. And you also would think, like, I know some kids can look older, but did he even hit puberty yet? Like, but he was able to convince them just based off of his knowledge. Like, I know all this stuff, you gotta believe me. I'm old enough to buy it.
That's
different times.
Yeah, definitely. I was about to say that. Definitely different times, and very, guess, questionable times as we keep going.
Oh yeah. But yeah, so because of this, he was able to buy lots of large quantities of dangerous poisons, such as arsenic, and one called digitalis and antimony. And he said it was for study purposes. So that was his reason he gave the local, like, town chemist. Like, I just want to study this stuff, right? So Graham's got all this knowledge. He's super smart about chemistry, toxicology, and he's got the ingredients. He decides, you know what? I'm going to put this shit to the test with his first victim named Christopher Williams, who was a fellow science pupil. So he was also big into science, you know?
Wow. I legitimately thought his first victim was... Well, I guess that'd be too obvious, though. His first victim was his stepmother.
We'll get there.
Okay.
We'll get to it. Just keep listening.
It definitely, it was definitely too obvious for it to be the stepmother right off the bat, so.
Yes. So, anyway. So, Christopher Williams, his first victim, he suffered an extended period of vomiting, painful cramps, headaches, all due to this administration by Graham of a cocktail of these different, like, poisons and everything. And it really left, like, doctors, like, super baffled. They were like, why is he so sick? They didn't really know what was going on.
Again,
but it was his first victim, but it was not his first kill. So Christopher Williams actually lived. And it's theorized that this was because Graham really couldn't keep, like, a close eye on him, so he couldn't, like, determine, okay, I need to give him, like, more of this, like, ingredient in this poisonous cocktail versus this. So he was able to, like, recover in his own time. He really could not kill him. So with this in mind, he turned to people he could keep an eye on for his experiments. So this is where we get into the family part.
Foreshadowing.
So Graham Young, his family started to show intermittent signs of poisoning in the early part of 1961. Graham's father initially suspected that maybe Graham was not on purpose harming the people in the family, like, you know, just kind of like he was being careless with his chemistry set, not really understanding what he was doing, so he really didn't think he was doing it on purpose. He was just like, he's just kind of fucking around, doesn't realize what he's doing.
Wait a second, I'm sorry, but why? So the father knew that he was...
He suspected, because he was like, the dude's got a chemistry set, he's super smart, you know, so maybe he's putting shit in our drinks or something. I don't know, but
I guess he did think well enough of his son to buy him the chemistry set.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
But
so maybe
and apparently
enough for suspicion.
Yeah, and he did ask his son about it from what the article said, but Graham was like, no, papa, not me.
Would never be me.
Oh yeah. So the potential for deliberate poisoning was never considered, especially because Graham himself had been ill. Also having some of those symptoms, and it's not sure if this was because he was, like, so smart that he was also making himself sick to cover his tracks, or if it was just because he was around those poisons and those chemicals that it just a side effect.
Breathing him in and everything.
So I'm not sure if it was just a side effect or if it was because he was being that fucking smart. Like, let me just give myself a little bit of something. I'm just gonna get a little sick, but I'm not gonna die.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So his older sister was found by the doctors to have been poisoned by something called belladonna, which I looked it up, and I think it's a flower.
Oh. Well, no, I don't.
Yeah.
Why have I heard of belladonna?
Well, to me, like, when I heard it, I was like, it's like just like someone's name, like maybe like a famous person or something. Yeah.
I'm just not sure what.
Yeah. apparently it's like some kind of like poisonous flower. If that's not true, I'm so sorry. But I think that's what it is.
And again, we're not professionals, so we're trying.
Exactly. So his father again suspected Graham, but took no action. This dad's just living in denial, you know?
Yeah, no, at this
like
point.
I feel like all signs are leading to his son. Like, even if you think it was on accident and he's not doing it on purpose, maybe take a break from the chemistry set, Graham.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe we do this under close supervision from now on. Like, only 1 hour of chemistry a day for you. Like,
which it should have been under supervision anyways, but again, this is the 50s.
Yeah.
Do what you want and we'll deal with the rest later.
For real. Okay. So now, next person, Molly, the stepmother. She became the focus of Graham's attentions, right? And she was becoming more and more ill until finally, on April 21st of 1962, she was found by the father writhing in agony in the back garden of their home, with Graham looking at her with what they described as fascination. Don't know how the dad still was not like, dude, why are you trying to kill us?
It's you.
She's not dead yet, though. She was rushed to the hospital, where she died later that night. Her cause of death was determined to be a prolapse of a spinal bone, and she was cremated by Graham's suggestion.
What?
No, you can't fucking do, like, an autopsy or, like, a toxicology report on a body that's cremated.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know why they took, like, a 13-year-old boy's suggestion.
Yeah, that's what I'm confused about. Like,
but that was his suggestion.
Yeah. Like, me and Mother Molly talked a lot about...
She really just wanted to be cremated. She said, I don't need a big fancy coffin.
Yeah.
We talked about mummification, but we really settled on cremation.
Really disagreed on the cremation.
You know? But yeah. It was later discovered that she developed a tolerance to the antimony, which was one of the poisons that he was kind of playing around with. And that was one of the poisons he was slowly poisoning her with, and he switched it to thallium the night before her death to speed up the process. Wow. So he'd been poisoning her for so long that she literally built up a resistance that he had to change it up.
Wow.
Dude was a little bit messed up. It says there was even reports of nausea and vomiting attacks at the funeral of other people. Clearly the death of his stepmother had not dulled Young's scientific curiosity, is what the article said.
Even at the funeral?
I know. What was
Molly be late to rest?
Dude was brutal.
Oh.
He was like, I'm gonna be poisoning people. So, following his stepmother's death, the dad's attacks of vomiting and cramping became more frequent and increasingly severe, and he was admitted to a hospital where he was diagnosed with antimony poisoning. So, the same thing he was feeding the stepmother. I guess he had built up so much been immune to it yet. He was very lucky to survive so much poisoning. But he still could not admit that his son was the one who was doing this. It was actually Graham Young's science teacher who found like a bunch of poisons in his desk and reported it to the police. Yeah. So his even till like his dad's like about to fucking die, somehow lives and cannot just put the blame on his son.
But again, why was he keeping these poisons at school?
I don't know.
Also, the question is, if he's keeping these poisons at school, why would he not just start with fellow students?
I don't know. That's a good... Well, I guess because the whole thing where he tried to do it with a student, remember?
Oh, yeah.
But he couldn't keep an eye on them. You can't poison them as frequently and everything.
If you're going to do it to people at a funeral, you can do it to literal
Maybe he was just pulling a prank at the funeral.
5 days out of the week.
I don't know. I don't know what was going through his head. Maybe at the funeral he was just...
Bored?
He was just trying to fuck with people, and he was like, I don't care if these people die.
I've got better things to do with
Exactly. But yeah. So since his science teacher reported this, or his chemistry teacher, that's science, so either way, Graham was sent to a police psychiatrist, where his vast knowledge of poisons became very clear that he was the one doing all this shit.
Yeah.
So he was arrested May 23rd, 1962. And while he was admitted, he finally admitted to poisoning his father, sister, and his school friend, but no murder charges were brought against him for Molly, his stepmother. And this is because all the evidence has been destroyed because she was cremated. Yeah. They could not go back and check to see the poisons and everything. So no murder charges. So he's 14 now, and he was committed to Broadmoor Maximum Security Hospital. He was the youngest inmate in there since 1885. And he was sentenced to a minimum of 15 years.
15 years for killing how many people?
Well, he only killed the one. And he wasn't even charged for it. So just the poisoning. That's why he didn't go to prison, I assume. He just went to a hospital.
Oh,
so,
okay.
But you know what? It goes on because he does shit in the hospital.
Of course he does.
So he still had his love of experimentation and poisons, and within weeks, the death of an inmate named John Barrage by cyanide poisoning was found in the hospital, and it left police freaking baffled. They were like, what the hell is going on? Graham claimed to have extracted cyanide from laurel bush leaves, but his confession was not taken seriously. So he literally admitted, essentially, to doing this. But they were like, nah, you're kidding. You're just joking. You're just in a silly, goofy mood. What in the world? So the dude's death was recorded as a suicide.
Because if I'm going to kill myself, poison is the way to go, I guess.
I don't know.
I personally, just from what you were describing earlier, stomach cramps and everything like that.
I don't know if I want to be that sick. If it's going to be a poison, it needs to be a fast-acting poison. We're done in a day.
We're done as soon as it's injected. I'm not trying to sit here and live through this.
Oh, yeah. So, anyway. There were other occasions of both staff and inmates were having drinks that were having been found to be tampered with. Graham continued to read widely about poisoning, but he started to keep his obsession more well hidden from the authorities and everything. So he's trying to keep a little bit more of a lower profile. And this was because the authorities made it clear to him, if you keep talking about all this poison and shit, you're going to stay in here for the full amount of time. But if you seem more, normal and not talk about it as much, you could get an early release.
Less peculiar.
Yeah, less is more, son. Less poison talk. So by the late 1960s, the doctors, released him. They said in June 1970 he'd been released, and because he'd been cured.
Oh.
So now he's out. I think he's probably a young adult by now. So he killed someone as a kid, but he does go off as an adult. He got released, and he's still going strong and everything. He celebrated his release by informing a psychiatric nurse that he intended to kill one person for every year he had been in Broadmoor. The comment was recorded on his file, but no action was taken.
Yeah.
People just did not want to punish this guy.
He was getting off very easily, and nobody was saying anything.
I know, and get this, even though his father now knows that his son was the one who was poisoning, the son was the one who killed his wife, his second wife Molly, was the one who was poisoning his sister, he was very forgiving to his son. He's still he was all cool with it. His sister, however, hold on, I lost my train of thought. Despite having been poisoned by him. Oh no, I got that backwards. So the father wanted nothing to do with him, but the sister was the one who was like, yeah, okay, you're cool.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I got that backwards. I read that totally wrong. The father, even though he was the one who was more forgiving initially, and, was acting totally oblivious, I guess he finally was like, you know what, enough's enough. I can't do this. But the sister was forgiving of him, and she was willing to stay in contact with him and everything, although she was very concerned with his fixation with crimes, because he ended up,
visiting crime scenes scenes of the past crimes that he committed, and he would love to like see his old neighbors recognize him and be like, yeah, I'm the dude who did that.
What?
He was a little freaky. Yeah. So soon after his release, he began working as she began to work, I don't know where at, I guess I did not write that part. Anyway, he began working and his foreman, Bob Eggle, grew ill and died. So we got more death. Apparently Graham had been making tea laced with poisons for his colleagues, and like everybody at his workplace got really, really sick. And this was mistaken for a virus, which they nicknamed the Bovington bug. And these cases of nausea and illness were sometimes severe enough to require people to get hospitalized.
This is sounding all very familiar.
Yes. Through his time working there, he poisoned about 70 people just over a few months. But nobody died. None of those 70 people died. A few months after Eggle's death, so his boss, another one of Graham's workmates grew ill and was admitted to a hospital. It was too late, and after suffering agony for several weeks, he had become Graham's third and final victim. So he only killed 3 people in total.
Okay.
So an investigation did begin because people are like, okay, a lot of poisonings happen, a dude just died. So we're like, we need to look into this. So Graham asked the company doctor if investigators had considered thallium poisoning for what was going on. And he also told a colleague that his hobby was the study of toxic chemicals. And because of this fucking dumbass remark, his colleague went to the fucking police and was like, hey, this guy did it. Like, obviously.
Yeah.
So, and then they realized, okay, he's got a record, you know? So he fucking did it. He was arrested on November 21st, 1971. Police found fucking thallium in his pocket and antimony. And they also discovered thallium and aconitine in his flat. And he also apparently kept a detailed diary of everybody who he had poisoned and their effects of the poisons and whether he was going to allow the people to live or die.
I like how he just ironed all this out for, prosecutors and everything.
I know. He said, I'll keep it low to get released, and then I'm just going for it.
Nothing left to the imagination.
Yes. So he had a trial June 19th, 1972, that lasted for 10 days. Graham pleaded not guilty and claimed the diary was a fantasy for a novel he was writing. He's a man of many talents, right?
And you've been this smart so far, and then you just...
How can you, how can you be so smart? It just makes me wonder, people like that, obviously, there's some mental stuff going on there. They are mentally not well. And I do think that there's, the whole thing that some people like that, they want the attention. They want to get caught because they want that recognition. So I don't know if that's the case with him. He definitely seemed to enjoy the poisoning of people. Yeah. So maybe he wanted the recognition, so he's like, I'm not going to hide. This is who I am. This is me.
Yes, this is me now.
But he was convicted and sentenced to life in prison. And that's when he was given the nickname, the Teacup Poisoner. Let's see. He did die in his cell at Parkhurst on August 1st, 1990, so it's kind of recent. I know it's 30 years ago, but still, 1990 feels recent to me. He was 42 years old, and the official cause of death was heart failure, although there remains a theory or a controversy that the fellow inmates may have poisoned him. Wow. There was some evidence that led to that. Or alternatively, there's a theory that Graham just kind of grew tired of life in prison and poisoned himself.
Wow.
But neither of those are proven.
Own work.
So it's possible that maybe his cellmates were like, you like poison so much. Have a taste of your own medicine, bitch.
Yeah.
Or Graham was like, all right, I've done enough. I'm out this bitch.
Yeah. I don't know though, there 1990s. Like, so how long was the conviction again?
For life.
Oh.
So he got sentenced, I think it said in, was it 1972? Yeah. And so he was in prison for like, what, 20 years then? 18?
Yeah, but like life sentences aren't actually life.
Yeah, that is true. I think it is because this is also England.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Was it? Yeah. But I know in America, like, life sentences, and I think it is different, maybe state by state, of how long a life sentence is. Like, It could be, like, 15 years, 30 years. Because there's always, like, that thing, which I didn't even know that till, like, I saw, like something somebody posted on, like, Facebook or something, was like, I was really out here thinking people were just doing 3 life sentences for dramatic effect, and I was like, I did too.
Yeah, like, I agree. I was ignorant, and I'm sorry.
I was like, 3 lives, damn, they really mad at him.
Yeah, like, in case...
They said, when you get reincarnated, you going straight to prison.
I remember as a kid, I was like, so are they concerned, like, if they pass, like, 100 years old? Like, they just have to stay in prison? Like...
You never know who the oldest person's gonna be. I mean...
To be fair... They're gonna
you
leave
never
their
know.
Bodies in the cell.
He was also into the occult, so you never know what, like...
Exactly.
Witchcraft he could have been doing in prison, like,
no.
Yeah.
He definitely... I'm sorry, our mascot's moving around.
Maybush.
She's trying to get comfortable again, much like her mother.
Yeah, so that is the story of Graham Frederick Young, the teacup poisoner. AKA the teacup killer, because I think it sounds better.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. He committed his first murder at 13. His last one, I don't know how old he was, but I don't really care about that part because the theme was killer kids.
Yeah. But, yeah, I'm not thrilled about... I'm not thrilled about his name. I definitely think we should change it. I don't know who we need to talk to, but definitely I agree with the
whoever, Murderpedia, I'll just email...
Yeah.
Mr. Murderpedia and be like, can we please change it to Teacup Killer? And then it'll catch on.
My people will call your people.
Yeah. Well, Mavis, our manager, will figure it out for us.
Yes, Mavis, our manager, she figures out all our lawsuits and problems and anything. So if you have a problem with us, you can email her at mavisdoesn'tgiveashit.com.
Yes.
And thank you.
All right.
Are you ready for mine?
Yeah, let's talk about Chloe's murder.
Yes. Okay. So mine actually happened in 2009.
Ooh.
Yes, very recent.
That was definitely a year one of the Twilight movies came out.
And here we are about Twilight again. Oh yes, our mini-sodes are going to be about Twilight.
Oh my god. Twilight. I want to say the first Twilight came out in 2008. Somebody fact check me. Don't worry, I'll do it.
Don't.
Go ahead, I'll let you know when I figure it out. I'm still listening though.
Okay. So, Miss Alyssa Bustamante. Ooh. Yes.
What's that last name? Like what?
I didn't go
It's
that
gotta
far.
be something, right?
Bustamante.
Yeah, first Twilight movie came out in 2008.
And Sam's obsessive.
It's just because we watched literally the first 2 movies earlier. I'm sorry, I don't mean to have Twilight steal a show. Go on, Alyssa
Bustamante.
Bustamante?
Bustamante. I had to practice that like 3 times before
Did you look up how to say it, or did you just?
No, I watched a video that somebody said it,
okay.
And yeah, don't ask me where the video came from. I'm sorry, I can't cite you because I didn't pay attention that much.
You were just in it for the name, not the information.
Yeah, exactly. Bustamante.
Alright.
Okay. So, let's start off with her backstory because honestly it's a lot. She was born, we'll start here. Her mother was only 15 when she got pregnant with Alyssa.
Okay.
Her father, I could never find an age on her father, like how old he was. It said that he was in his teens as well, but never gave me
a specific
age.
Mm-hmm.
Mother Michelle was, she had an alcohol addiction. She had a couple DWIs. She had a marijuana possession charge.
I think I may have heard this one before.
Oh no.
No, that's okay, because I don't remember all of it, but this is sounding familiar.
Yes. Her father was actually in prison when she was born on a felony assault charge.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Her family actually, her mom and her 4 siblings actually moved frequently between California and Missouri. Missouri because that's where her grandparents, her mother's parents were. And to be specific, it was St. Martin's, Missouri.
Okay.
It was pretty much like a quaint town. Everybody knew everybody. If there was anything going on, everybody knew. Much like this town. I mean, we're a little bit bigger, but much like this town. So as she began to get older, she actually started to show signs of depression, and she has some self-harm, which, I mean, honestly go hand in hand. And I mean, especially during this age at 2009, I mean, yes.
The movie had just come out.
Yeah, the movie just came out. We were all feeling very depressed when Bella didn't pick
Edward
Jacob.
Bella.
Yes.
I cry every time.
Sam was like, I can't watch these certain parts. I cry. I was like, what? Anyways, I'm going to have to edit that out. Sorry. Okay. So, yeah, depression, self-harm. As she got into high school, she got more of an edgy personality. Her friends described her as being, like, fun and quirky, but they talk about how she had, like, more of, like, an emo style. She had the hair in the face, the black nails, the dark makeup.
Right.
But also,
we all go through that stage, though.
yeah, I mean, again, Twilight just came out, okay?
You're so wrong.
Yes, like, everybody wanted to be pale, dark, and handsome.
Also, like, what is the difference between emo and goth?
Actually, I accidentally, when I was going over my notes and I was talking to a friend about them, I actually said goth, and he was like, no, it's emo. And I was like, oh my, I am so sorry. I didn't know there was I didn't know there was a difference, because obviously he went through the emo phase really hard.
I don't know if this is controversial, but I always associated, like, emo, like, emotional, so I kind of associated people who were more on, like, the self-harm side. I don't know if that's accurate, and I'm sorry if that's offensive, but that's what I always kind of thought.
No, I just remember a lot of the emo stage being spikes, black and red.
More spiky, black and red, okay.
The I Heart Boobies bracelets. Like, they were like the little latex bracelets.
I remember those.
Yeah. What else was there in the emo stage? I mean, just...
Well, then what was goth?
I mean, if anything, I feel like to this age, I would be considered kind of gothy. And I think
Maybe is goth like you're more into, like...
I think goth was more vampires. Emo was more Sad Bunny.
Sad Bunny. And then there's Scene.
And then there's...
You know Scene when you see Scene.
Scene, yeah. There was no getting around the Scene. Sorry about that. Having little technical difficulties.
You have the swivel chair.
I do have the swivel chair, and it keeps swiveling away. Okay. Anyways, sorry about that. We kind of got off on our, stuff, because that's just what we do as podcasters. We don't stay on topic, because that's not what we do as podcasters. Okay. So anyways, so with all of that being said, and her being in her emo stage, she actually attended church. She was very much so a part of their youth group, because that was one of the things is, I totally just messed up.
Oh, that's fair. I messed up mine earlier, so...
Yeah, well, I accidentally messed up a lot. But one of the parts, so actually around 8, she was given to her grandparents, and then they actually gained legal custody of her. Okay. What happened with the mom is actually kind of unknown. So that's when she was so into the church, is because her grandparents wanted her to have a more quote-unquote stable lifestyle.
Okay.
Even, her going through her emo stage, which is also a very weird thing in part of the family, but we'll get more into that. So Labor Day weekend in 2007, she actually carved the word hate into her arm.
Ooh.
And then tried to kill herself by overdosing on Tylenol.
But she lived.
But she survived.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if you're gonna kill yourself, don't maybe choose Tylenol. I mean, I don't know from experience, but maybe not Tylenol.
And maybe just don't kill yourself, please.
Yeah, just don't kill yourself. We don't promote that on this podcast. We don't promote killing yourself and or self-harm. But after that, she was she had to go see multiple counselors / therapists.
Understandable.
They all kind of came to that same conclusion, like she's depressed. So they put her on Prozac to help with these feelings and these needs and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to actually change hot subject for a second.
Okay.
We are going to go to Elizabeth Olten. She is 9 years old. They described her as a very sweet girl. She was a girly girl, loved pink, loved dresses, the whole 9 yards, okay? So on October 21st, 2009, she was practicing for a school play at her home with her mother, who was preparing dinner. Emma, the 6-year-old neighbor, came over and was like, hey, can Elizabeth come out and play just for a bit,
Seems like a bad idea. Yeah. This is a murder podcast.
Yeah. And, Elizabeth's mom was kind of hesitant at first and was like, I'm not sure about that. Which she had good fucking reason to be,
had that
honestly.
Instinct, huh?
Yes, it's a very true thing, and I believe it to this day. But, she was like, okay, whatever, but you have to be back before dark.
Yeah.
And she knew that Elizabeth would be back before dark because Elizabeth actually had a fear of the dark. I mean, when you're 9 years old, I get it.
I'm still fucking scared of the dark.
I was gonna say,
I actually put a lamp on every night. Like, it's just like a little, small...
Yeah, no, for many, 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 many years, my mom, and then, of course, I developed it into my young adult life. I slept with the TV on. Because for some reason in my weird, construed brain, that made me feel safe. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it was, and I've tried to describe it before, but...
Same thing, because my mom always did the same thing, slept with the TV on, and so therefore I did it. And I only started sleeping the TV off, maybe this past year, really.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean...
I switched to a lamp, because I was able to sleep. Because I also, not that I needed to hear something, but just the muffled sounds, kind of. I didn't want to be able to have it loud enough where I could understand what people were saying on the TV.
Yeah.
But just hearing that muffled sound was helpful. But now I just need a lamp. I don't need...
Oh, we're conquering our fears of the dark.
Yeah.
All on this podcast. Where was I gonna... Okay, yeah. So she was like, yeah, you're gonna be home before dark. Sure. Go ahead, go play. So around 6, she's like, that's weird. Where is my daughter? So she calls across the street to the neighbor's house that she was supposed to be playing with, their daughter. Mm-hmm. And they were like, no, we haven't seen her. And so then she's like, oh, that's not good. So she immediately calls the police, and she's like, hey, listen, my daughter should have been home before dark. I'm worried. I don't know what's going on. So they immediately come, and they actually start doing a grid search of the forest. Mm-hmm. Volunteers come, and while they're searching, they actually go ahead and, ping her cell phone to see where it's at, and it says it's in the forest. Mm-hmm. So of course they're looking all throughout the forest, and one of the volunteers actually stumbles upon a grave. There's nothing in it. It's just a random grave.
Like an unmarked grave, or
it's not. It's just like a dug out grave.
Okay.
And
so there's not like a headstone or anything? It's
no.
just like somebody dug like
Somebody dug a grave,
Okay.
and I don't know, like trap doors in the middle of the forest or something. It was very peculiar. But they, sorry? Okay, yeah. But anyways, so the FBI got involved because they were like, no, this is definitely something's up. Most definitely. Like, she didn't run away. First of all, she's only 9 years old, so I don't know where she's going to run to.
Yeah.
Especially in St. Martin's, freaking Missouri.
Honestly, like,
People live there.
I don't want to speak for all 9-year-olds out there, but really, what 9-year-old runs away?
Yeah.
Like,
So they're like, no, this can't be a runaway case. You know, like, especially like most runaways are like in their teens. Like, no, mom,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get my nose pierced or something like that. You know, something dumb in our teenage brains. So the FBI get involved, and so they question Emma, and they're like, Emma, you know, what did y'all do? And Emma goes, well, you know, after we played, Elizabeth headed home, and then, you know, I was walking home and I fell into some bushes.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, about that time, she said, Alyssa, come help me. Come help me, like, get out of the bushes and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So then they're like, okay, you know, like, to corroborate this 6 years old story, let's talk to the sister, Alyssa. And yes, come to find out, Emma is Alyssa's half-sister.
What?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Okay.
Story gets crazier.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
Maybe I haven't heard this one.
Yeah.
I thought I did it first, but...
So the FBI, well, actually, Sergeant Rice, to be exact, actually goes and he questions Alyssa, and he's like, hey, you know, we're trying to, like, corroborate the story. Like, let's go for a talk and a walk. Mm-hmm. So they're walking and they're talking, and he's like, you know, did this happen? And she's like, yeah, you know, I helped her out, blah, blah, blah. And they, for some reason, took her to the grave. Very unclear why they took her to this grave that had nothing in it. But, you know, the whole time, like, Alyssa's just being, like, super cool and super cooperative. Like, no suspicion.
Right.
Okay. As they stumble upon this grave, she says something very odd. She said that she just likes to dig holes.
Okay. Is she a dog? Like...
Yeah, like, she just likes to dig random holes. And hey, dun 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 dun, she sometimes places dead animals in there on occasion.
Not the dead animals.
Oh, wavy. So Sergeant Rice is, like, suspicious at this point, and he's like, okay, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take a look inside your house, because this is just freaking odd.
You know, yeah.
So he talks about, like, how the whole house looks normal. Like, you know, everything, you know, has a place, you know, very just normal suburban home. Then they get to Alyssa's room, and they talk about how dark and dreary it is. Which, I mean, you know, you're in your emo phase, like, whatever.
Yeah.
Then they talk about how there's, like, writings on the walls, and some appeared in pen, and then some were in what appeared to be blood. Very, very odd, even for your emo stage. Sorry.
I would say so.
Yeah. Well, then
Not to
they...
offend the emos in the world.
Yeah, sorry. If you're still emo, grow up. I'm not kidding. Like, grow the fuck up and be an adult. Anyways. Sorry if that offends. No, I'm not. Anyways. So then they find this drawing that Alyssa drew of her little sister, Emma, with slashes on her head and on her arms.
Ooh.
And so they were like, this is kind of concerning.
This is a little sus.
And then they found Alyssa's diary, which, I mean, you know, kind of not cool of you to go through her diary, but kind of cool of you to go through her diary.
I mean,
so,
you need that evidence.
yeah. So they kind of like are just flipping through it, whatever. And then they find this one entry that talks about burning down a house and killing all the occupants.
Hello?
Yes. And they're like,
These kids are fucking metal.
Right? Story gets even freaking worse and I hate it. I'm so sorry. But then they think the Sergeant Rice, like his team, thinks that it could be about her grandparents and like her siblings, like burning down their house and killing like all of her family. So they take the evidence and, you know, they're like, they take the diary into evidence. Mm-hmm. And they keep going through it because they've only gotten into like, you know, like a little bit of it. So then they get to the entry dated October 21st, 2009. So all like on this day, a lot of it is scribbled out, I'm sorry. And all they can read from it is gotta go to church now, LOL. So then
LOL.
Yeah, gotta go to church now, LOL. Then they put it under a black light and then they see slit and throat. So Alyssa and her grandmother are brought in for questioning because they're just like, that's just, something doesn't sit right.
Obviously, if you're seeing that shit and someone...
Yeah.
How old was she?
At this time she was 15.
Yeah. You see that in a 15-year-old's diary? Like,
yes.
At the very least, she needs to, like, talk to someone about that.
Yes, which I guess maybe the Prozac wasn't working.
Hey, sometimes, like, I've heard, like, with depression, like, medications, like, you really gotta find that balance, you know?
Yes, I will actually get into that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah. So Alyssa and her grandmother are brought in for questioning because this, you know, last entry is very concerning. So Alyssa gives the story that, yeah, she had gone into the woods with Elizabeth, but when she had gone into the woods, Elizabeth actually fell and hit her head and died immediately.
Mm.
And, you know, Sergeant Rice was like, come on, that's
girl.
super, no.
Not
so
buying
then,
it.
Yeah, so then Sergeant Rice was like, so be honest with me, no, straight with me. Was her throat cut? And Alyssa says yes. So, and then Alyssa, of course, changed her story. And she told Sergeant Rice that she had instructed Emma to go get Elizabeth to play. Then she sent Emma home, and led Elizabeth into the forest. She said, I've got something really neat to show you. It's just a little further up here. She headed to 2 graves that she dug.
Oh, there's 2? There was 2.
There was 2.
But they only found 1 earlier.
Yes.
Okay, it's all coming together.
Yep, and she began to strangle Elizabeth. She stabbed her 8 times in the chest and then slit her throat.
How old was Elizabeth again?
She was
9.
9? Yes, she was 9.
God.
Yes. Yeah. And then, like, as they confessed, after she got done confessing, she led them to her body, which they talk about, like, her body actually wasn't that deep in the ground. Like, it was barely covered, and it was just all in all a very horrible scene. It was a
shallow grave.
Yeah, like, I mean, it was just something that is your worst nightmare kind of deal. Mm-hmm. So, after they did that, they actually went back to the diary to see if they could find out, like, more information. And so they put it under a blue light instead this time.
What's the difference?
One's
between a blue light and
one's blue. I don't know.
Does it pick up more? Huh.
Well, because it was scribbled in blue ink. Like, it was scribbled over in blue ink. So then they were like, got it. I'm gonna, you know. So her actual diary entry for that day was, I just fucking killed someone. I strangled them and slit their throat. and now they're dead. I don't know how to feel at the moment. It was amazing. As soon as you get over the, oh my God, I can't do this feeling, it's pretty enjoyable. I'm kind of nervous and shaky right now, though. Kay, I gotta go to church now, LOL.
How you gonna write a murder confession and put LOL in the same paragraph?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So then, so they asked her, they're like, why'd you do it? And she said, I just wanted to know what it felt like to kill someone.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Which a week prior to that entry, she actually wrote, if I don't talk about it, I bottle it up, and when I explode, someone's gonna die. So it's just like,
girl.
There's just so many, the youth today. There's just
The youths.
Yeah, the youths. Like, I get that you had problems and, whatever. But, so the theory behind the 2 graves is actually, a lot of people think that she actually intended to kill her 2 brothers. Mm-hmm. And that's why there was 2 graves and not just one.
Right.
Because she had made a YouTube video. Yes, she had a YouTube channel.
Is it still up?
I actually think so. I think I actually watched the video. Yeah, I did watch the video of her and her 2 brothers.
That's so creepy.
Yes. So she made a video with her 2 brothers, and they were both touching all three of them were touching an electric cattle fence that shocks them. And in the video, right before they touch the fence, a little quote pops up, and it says, "This is where it gets good. We get to see my brothers get hurt." And that's why they kind of think that the graves were actually intended for her 2 brothers. Sickening at best. So January 30th, 2012. This takes a hot minute, but the trial begins. Okay, so this is where things get weird. The research that I kept finding was she pleaded not guilty at first, and then she turned around and pleaded guilty.
Okay.
But she also took a plea deal. Now she was
took the plea deal because they were like, if you say you're guilty, then
well, actually, with that, she was actually being charged with, what it says is that she was actually being charged with 1st-degree murder, which is apparently worse than 2nd-degree murder. So when she took the plea deal, she pled out to 2nd-degree murder and armed criminal action. So she was convicted, to life in prison with the chance of parole, and 30 years was added because of the armed criminal action. Now, the armed criminal action, from what I could gather, is that it's because she used a knife.
Oh,
and I guess that's...
I was wondering where that was going to come in.
Yes. So that actually added 30 years. She was to serve over 35 years in prison before being eligible for parole.
Okay.
Which, of course, this upset Elizabeth's family, because, they're like, my daughter was 9 years old. She didn't even get to live her life, and you have the chance to live yours. Mm-hmm. She was like, no, this is, no. Or not she, but the family and the public. The public was pissed about this sentence. So, actually, Elizabeth's father, because we actually never talked about him, because he was in prison when his daughter went missing.
That's right, yeah.
No. Oh, no. Elizabeth's.
Oh, okay.
Elizabeth's, not Alyssa's. Okay. Alyssa's dad, yes, he was also in prison. I don't know what's going on with these daddy issues, I guess. But yes, Elizabeth's father was actually in state prison on a drug conviction. Gosh. He sent a letter pleading that she get the maximum sentence. Mm-hmm. Because, again, it's not fair for her to get to potentially live her life.
Yeah.
So So after she was convicted and the trial was done, she, you get that last chance to talk to your victims or the family or, whomever. And she said, I cannot even understand what you guys are going through. I'm sorry for that. If I could give my life to bring her back, I would, and I'm sorry. And the,
That's my cracking my knuckles, sorry.
Oh, I was like, what? I kind of got scared. But in, all of Elizabeth's family just sat there, stone faced. They were like, no, you don't. You're lying.
Mm-hmm.
You don't.
Even if she does mean it, it's just, they don't have to accept that.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
You're completely right. But they were so just like...
They're like, bitch, please.
Literally. So Elizabeth's mother, she was actually still pissed off about this that she filed a lawsuit against Alyssa for wrongful death, and then actually won the case.
Oh shit.
And so she actually was awarded that Alyssa pay her over $5 million, which how she's going to pay this, I
never understand those kind of lawsuits where it's like you sue someone who doesn't have that much money.
Sorry.
Doesn't have that much money, even in, assets. What do you set up a payment plan? Or do you get to go in debt? Does the government pay it for you and then you, I don't know how that works.
I mean, I'm in prison for the rest of my life, so, well, I don't know, I guess I'm only in prison for 35 years, so I guess I'll just have to, get out and pay you what I can pay you? I don't know. But, actually, so we're going to bring you up to date. So, in 2021, yes, she is still in prison.
Shit, didn't expect such a update that was so recent.
Yes, she is now 27 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, you want to talk about really close, yeah. This could have been you.
I sure hope it fucking couldn't have been.
But now she actually has a ton of freaking supporters. And they all talk about how much they love her and how they would love to be friends with her. And
where's the support coming from?
Apparently online. They just, that's what... I even went as far to... I was actually just looking up her name, and it popped up a freaking Instagram for her.
Not that she runs, though,
No,
right?
not that she
just,
runs.
A fan account?
Yes.
That's a little bit out there. Okay.
Yes. So, I'm so sorry. It's the candle in here. We lit a candle, being festive. So, the theory actually behind the Prozac that we were talking about. So they had actually increased her meds her Prozac a few weeks prior to Elizabeth's death. And so they say that, and this was brought up in the courtroom, they say that because of the increase, it actually caused it to increase aggression.
Okay. Enough to kill someone?
Well, here's the dealio. So LaGuardian came, which I'm assuming is a pharmaceutical company. I didn't actually get into who they were.
It sounds like a big pharma.
They said young people taking antidepressants such as Prozac or oh God, I practice so much.
Seroquel?
No, Seroxit.
Oh, okay.
Are more likely to commit violent crimes when they are on the medication. But taking higher doses of the drugs appears to reduce that risk. And because of that quote right there, it was actually denied in court. The theory was just denied in court. And so I've heard that, I saw that, she tried to appeal her case, but it just got shut down.
Yeah.
And so, she's still in prison serving she's 27 now. She's serving her 35 years.
Wow. And you always hear about cases like that where people get sentenced to however much time, and sometimes they get released early, so she doesn't even have to serve the full time.
Yeah, I mean, and she is eligible for parole.
Yeah.
But it's still just sick to me, the fact that she will be out and this poor 9-year-old didn't even get to live her life.
Yeah. It's just, it really is heartbreaking. And I don't know, it's just one of those things where you hear a lot of people talk, especially people who go through, like, mental health, you know, issues and everything. She has depression, she was taking Prozac for it, so it's just, like, I think a lot of people do want to, like, justify it's like, well, she was sick, you know, rough childhood, all these factors that lead to it, but I just feel like there's so many other people out there who, you know, have depression, anxiety, whatever mental health disorder, have rough childhoods, and they don't kill people. You know?
No, if you feel the need to kill people, like, and I say this after I just said that, like, we don't support suicide, but if you feel the need to kill people to the degree that you're actually going to partake in these actions, just please kill yourself. Like, don't end somebody else's life because...
How about we just seek some help?
Yeah.
That's not good either.
No, like, I mean, seek some help, but like, if you're to that degree that you're just like, I'm gonna do it, like, don't...
I don't know, I almost think of it as almost like, I guess, like, two sides, like, it's like, of, like, mental health, where it's like, to one degree, you got fucking, you're gonna kill someone, and the other degree, it's like, I want to kill myself. So I don't know if those can be, like, if you could just flip.
You could just flip.
You know, I don't know if you could just be like, if you're a fucking homicidal person, if you could just be like, you know what, no, I deserve this. Like,
well, I mean, I
just don't know.
I'm just saying, like, it's just, like, nobody else's life, and especially, I mean... Especially this girl, I mean, she was only 9 years old, but I mean, people in general, like, just because somebody's happy on the street and you want to fucking kill somebody, like, don't take their life away. Yeah. Especially, I mean, like, we have so many things to do in this world, even though we're kind of shut down right now because of COVID and whatever else comes around.
We live in the South, how shut down are we?
To be fair, we will rise against. But, like, seriously, like, I mean, like, people have so much to do with their lives. Like, don't end it because you want to fucking kill somebody. Just fucking kill yourself. I mean, you're taking a life at that point.
I think it's like, it's that act where it's like, they don't want to take their own life. They want to inflict that pain onto someone else.
Why did you do it? Because I wanted to know how it felt to kill somebody.
That's what I think is so fucked up. Hearing those kind of responses where it's like, why'd you do it? Just because, like, that's so, like, chilling.
Which is why, like, you know, the parents were like, Elizabeth's family, which is kind of like, yeah, that's kind of bullshit because you literally said,
I wouldn't accept an apology either. That's your reasoning for, like,
no, I wouldn't fucking accept your apology. Eat it, because that's no. There's no excuse. Like, I literally had this conversation with a friend the other day. It was about, like, you know, well, we were actually talking about, like, sexual predators. And I was like, you know, into a weird, like, degree, I can understand, like, killing an adult more than I can understand killing a child.
Oh, 100%.
Just like I can understand raping an adult more than I can raping a child.
Well, it's not that, I wouldn't necessarily say, like, I understand that over that. It's more like, I think one is worse than the other, right?
I do agree, but I'm just saying, like,
that one is, you know, less traumatic or terrible,
they're
but it's
both.
Just like, if something happens to a child, it's just automatically, it's like, that's a fucking child.
I mean, even when you go, like, even when these rapists are convicted, I mean, there's people that will in the prison that are like, fucking, you know, you fucked up, like, with children, like, we don't do that shit here, like, and they get fucking killed in prison because even inmates, like, no matter all the fucked up shit they did, like mass murder or whatever, they're like, no, you fucked with kids, like, it's over for you, dude.
Yeah.
And let me just add another tally to my mark.
Yeah.
Because, and that's like, when I say, like, I see it in degrees, I'm saying it, like, with an adult, even though, yes, it is a fucking horrifying experience to be raped, and I cannot imagine. But for an adult, at least they have that, that adult mind where they're like, this is fucking tragic and this happened to me, but at least they can comprehend what is going on. Like with a child, they're like, I don't understand what just happened to me. Like, why is this happening? Like they're so innocent. And with an adult, not saying that these people deserve it, but like, with an adult, you can fight through it more than a kid can. Not saying that kids aren't resilient, because they fucking are.
They really are.
But it's just...
There's different ways of coping with things based on your age. I mean, just like you said, kids, they don't really even understand. Sometimes they don't even, like, really understand what happened to them until they're much older. And then they have to deal with it when they're older. And it's just,
Being a woman, and, I've been in many circumstances where... things have gotten scary for me, to the point where fight or flight really kicked in. Even as a young kid, I've had these experiences, and as a young kid, I can say I didn't understand. I didn't understand, and now looking back, I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck happened to me? Like, why? How, why, and no matter how much my parents were, like always around and always, trying to make sure that I was okay, things still fucking happen.
Kids are vulnerable.
Yeah. Like, you're left alone.
Your back on you for, like, literally, it could be in Walmart, your parents turn your back on you and you get fucking kidnapped. Like, it can happen.
Like, I mean, they walk around a corner to go get a drink and, you're gone.
They're vulnerable. And it's just also... Another thing I think is, like, kids, they don't even have, like, really a fighting chance, I feel like.
No,
whereas
they
if
don't.
You're an adult, like... I mean, you still obviously can get overpowered.
Yes.
And everything, but you have a fighting chance, I feel like. At least I hope you do.
Yeah, like...
As a kid, I don't think there is.
And, just like I said, like when they have, like, fight or flight, like as a kid, like you don't really have that developed all the way. So, like, they say, oh, kids don't get in a van with,
That's why you have to teach the kids, like, stranger danger, because they don't understand.
Like, they're just like, oh, you have candy or a puppy or whatever. Let me jump in.
Yeah, I fucking love candy.
But
I love puppies. Let's go. And then
as an adult,
parents again.
Yeah, like as an adult, you'd be like, no, fuck you, get away from me, and run away or do whatever you need to do.
Yeah. You have those, like you said, those survival instincts, or not even instincts, it's the knowledge.
Yeah.
Like, this is not a good situation.
This is not a good situation. I need to quickly see myself out of it.
It's like, we're not born knowing, like, oh, we should not walk down, like, a dark alley at night. Like, that is something that you, like, are conditioned. Like, you see stuff happen to other people. You hear stories. You experience it yourself. Those things lead you to know this is, like, these are the safety precautions I need to take.
Yeah.
And kids, they don't have that learning history yet. And, those are things that you have to warn them about. And even when you're a kid, your parents might tell you something and it doesn't fucking stick.
No, you have to be told this, like, repeatedly.
So.
Coming from us who couldn't, name fucking all of the states earlier.
We also were drinking... You weren't, but me and Erica were.
Yeah.
And we were like, what?
So
I can't remember what states we had. To be fair, if we had written them down, I think I could have named them all.
Yeah, I mean, no, like, we could have started, East Coast and moved to West Coast, or West Coast moved to East Coast.
Honestly, when I was younger, just for fun, I would look up blank maps of the United States and just name all the states.
Oh yeah, we get to delve into Sam's, like, weirdness, and I'm...
What do you mean?
Oh, you know what I mean.
I don't know.
I am
How's that weird? I bet you there's plenty of people who would do that.
No,
I've never got to the country stage, but just the United States, I would do that just for fun. There's too many countries to do it.
I mean, I used to play, like, the leapfrog thing and, like, name the bones. Be like, oh, this is your humerus, and I don't know, just different things like that.
Leapfrog, like the children's, like, leapfrog, like,
Yeah, and you can, like, press on it, and it would tell you, like, oh, this is your humerus.
I'm talking about when I was, like, a junior in high school.
Oh, I was talking about elementary school.
No, this was high school, and I don't know. That's what I would do for fun. I've had like the app, I think, on my phone.
Sam was Sam again. We get to delve into
Should we change
Sam's.
the podcast to analyzing each other as people?
Yes, because honestly, we need to get into that big brain of yours. We need to pick through some files.
Got
Maybe
the degrees behind you to prove it.
Yeah, I know. That's why they're behind me.
Yeah, so I can look at them and feel proud of myself. Earn those babies.
I'm so proud of them. I hung them up on the wall.
I did. They are hung up by tacks, though, so if the frames fall and they break, I'll have to wait till the next Hobby Lobby sale to get more.
Yeah, I bumped into them earlier as I was putting lighting up in our new studio.
And it's also, I mean, my undergrad, it's fine, but my master's one, it's like they delivered it, I think it was last week or the week before, I can't remember, in the middle of the pouring rain, and the package got wet, so it's like a little wrinkly. Isn't that lovely?
Oh my god, a little wrinkly. How dare they? I mean,
hey,
I mean, you're not wrong. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to downgrade your
they
degree.
could have, fucking Ball State could have put it in better packaging, or the mail person could have maybe not put it in a puddle. Like, that's what I'm saying.
The puddle. And we're coming after you, mail person.
Yes.
You're gonna be on our podcast and not in a good way.
Hey, you know, the phrase going postal
It took to a whole new level.
We're bringing it all back. That's a good one.
Yes.
There are multiple cases of like the male people going crazy, I think. So we
Seriously?
I think there are, because that's where the phrase came from, going postal. Like, you going crazy, you kill everyone. It was like postal workers. That's what my mom told me, at least. We might have to get Mama Julie to tell us about that.
Yeah, you know, she's only...
Or I'll just look up male murders
She...
and see if multiples come up, and then we know if we can do that for a themed episode.
I am very much so down for this.
So, yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. I guess that was our first episode.
Yeah, that was fun. It was thrilling.
Yeah.
It's
I really hope when we play it back, it doesn't sound
It's
bad.
now 5
It's 5 in the
o'clock.
fucking morning. We started this at like what 3:30-ish. Well, we're gonna edit some of it away, so it'll be not a 2-hour podcast, but probably not much.
It's not a 2-hour podcast.
It's not how it's. What's our time?
103.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought we'd been talking about 2 fucking hours.
Well, I mean, that's technically like an hour and 40 minutes. So, hour and 43 minutes to max it.
That's okay.
Yeah,
Like, there's a
60
few
and then
things
40,
we'll
yeah.
edit, and you know, like we said earlier at the beginning, like this is all fucking new to us, so
Yeah, and I think your first
tweak it.
podcast is going to be kind of long.
we'll tweak it as we go. We're gonna get more comfortable with it. We're gonna get more stuff figured out. We might get some padding for the walls so it's not so echoey. We'll get IT Man Ram to help us with stuff.
Man Ram.
Yeah.
So,
So that was
exciting.
Mistresses of Murder talking about killer kids. I
And
don't know how to sign off. I thought we
yeah.
would like naturally come up with like a nice little sign off.
And I kept trying to tell you that this wasn't a good idea and that we needed to sign off.
But you know, it's okay. Anyway.
Yes. Hi. It's been fun.
It's been real.
We'll see you again.
Yeah.
Settle in. And
We'll see you again. Settle in.
we'll see you again. Settle in.
Yeah,
And bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See you later.